You're an entrepreneur, and you make vital decisions that hopefully blossom into a business. You're the savvy, out-of-the-box risk taker who believes wholeheartedly in the process of innovation. Innovation that will change the world. This is CEO Chat with Gresham Harkless, and you're about to embark on a journey through the awesome world of business. Gresham is the epitome of drive and desire as he works to help support small businesses and entrepreneurship. And you're about to learn from this entrepreneur how you can improve your odds of success in the business world. Welcoming the host of CEO Chat, here's Gresham Harkless.
My name is Gresham Harkless. I'm from the CEO Chat podcast, Blue 16 Media. I am CEO podcast. I have a phenomenal guest here, Chhaya Muth, and he joins us from Capital Bank, and he as a vice president and business banker. And Chhaya brings a broad range of commercial banking and treasury management experience in a variety of industries, with a particular focus and a opportunity to work with many industries, including nonprofits, trade associations, and professional services as well too. And he currently serves as the president of the Eisenhower Partnership and is a longtime board member of New Hope Housing. And he leverages his leadership and business acumen to foster Capital Bank's expansion to the Alexandria and Arlington markets. And Chhaya, super excited to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the community?
Yes, Gresham. Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be here. Just one quick thing here. So I just finished my term with New Hope, not this past year, but last year's. But just wanted to kind of that.
No, I appreciate that, and that's one of the things I wanted to hear more about you, because I know we talked a little bit offline about getting your foothold in the area and being from this area, as we kind of talked about a little bit online. But you seem to have a lot of community involvement. You're doing a lot of things in the community. Could you take us through some of those things that you're doing, including the New Hope, and what that has done for you?
Yeah, that started with actually at the prior bank I was at. When you start within a new community, it's how do I meet the community? How do I get more involved, and really just start building rapport, especially in a industry or business that's so relationship driven. And so so you had to kind of a takeaway from BNI, as we were just talking, is that visibility, right? Kind of let people know, hey, you're in the area, you're here to do business, and once you kind of get that visibility, it's that credibility aspect of it, letting them know who you are, but how you do business, and who are you as a person. Can you be trusted, especially when dealing with finances. So I looked at that as an opportunity to become more involved in the community, especially being here, and really I thought it was just a time for me, just based on professional and personal growth. Let's also give back in a way, and that's where my involvement in the Eisenhower Partnership and New Hope kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I think that as we were talking about offline, being a community bank, you have to be part of the community, you have to get involved, you have to get back to the community. So I love that that's been something that you've been able to do, and you have so much respect and esteem that I imagine built up over the time because of that.
And it's for me, it was also such a great learning experience to kind of really understand the needs of a certain population, especially in Northern Virginia, where you've got neighborhoods that vary in terms of the income, right, the wealth gap, and so there's speaking of New Hope, there's a need there, because there are folks that can't afford the housing, and New Hope did a great job in not only providing housing, but to kind of build from scratch on, hey, what do we need to do to get you keys to your home again, and it was such a great learning experience, working with the fellow board members and Pam Michelle, the executive director there at New Hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that obviously, being able to kind of have a similar impact, I imagine, with your clients as well too. But what do they usually say is great to be able to have that impact. It's probably even better to make sure that you know what you're doing and you're able to kind of help execute on that. And correct me if I'm wrong, you have loads of kind of experience in the finance and banking world as well too. That's kind of helped you and equipped you to where you're serving now.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you a better idea of how my banking career started. I started as a part-time teller in high school with First Virginia Bank at the time, which is now BB&T.
Okay.
But it was part-time teller, just after school, working at the teller line, running a teller drawer, and I didn't really think much of it. It was just a job at the time. But it was actually during college when an opportunity opened up to work for a community bank. And then from there, working as a teller / customer service representative, where you're opening accounts and having those conversations with clients, that's when it kind of really got interesting to me. And so I started working within a branch office and understanding, the ins and outs, balancing the vault, managing staff and growing an office, and that kind of shifted to the operational side of banking under treasury services, cash management, where you're setting up or providing products and services for your commercial clients, and said, what, I like doing this, but my next step in that banking career was, how do I, a lot of times I was helping clients for relationship managers, for quote unquote business development officers. So once we onboarded a client, it was kind of, hey, done deal, let's move on to the next one. And I wasn't able to connect that well, and not only the connection, but for me, I just thought, what, I'd like to build my own portfolio as well. And so my next step in my career was, let's go out and build that and try to grow the clientele for the bank, and that's kind of where my career has gone, is the focus on the deposit treasury side, and now it's the lending side, clients that are looking to grow, and they're looking to expand, whether it be through some sort of merger and acquisition, or if they need a loan because they're working out of an office like an Intelligent Office, but they are ready to move on, and they need space, and if they need a loan to finance that, and that's where I would come in.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I think that, as most people that probably listen to this as well too, you're juggling so many different things, when you're running a business or managing a business or even being in the business, that you want to be able to have that, I guess for lack of better terms, feel like relationship and partner to be able to kind of lean on, so that you can have that expertise if you are going through a merger or acquisition, or you're potentially trying to expand out to a bigger area. You want to have somebody that I guess you can kind of lean on and get that expertise from.
You pretty much nailed it. It's the partner aspect. Whenever I'm talking with my clients, it's I'm happy to be your partner. This relationship that we're now looking to establish from day one. Let me worry about all the banking, the finance. That way, my clients can focus on their business. And the additional value that I feel like I bring to the table is, not only on the banking side, but there's resources, there's let's say other vendors that clients are also asking about, how they can streamline or save money on. And I think with my connection to the community and my peers that have a similar I guess work ethic and wanting to help out, and it's giving my clients that access of, hey, I need an accountant, or I'm looking for this, I need a new media person. Hey, who do you know? It's like, well, you should go talk to so and so.
Right. Yeah, and I believe that it's so funny. We were talking, before we hopped on this about the relationships and have those face-to-face connections, and how that starts to develop and kind of build. And I think that's a lot of times we don't realize that those can kind of come from anywhere. We were talking about flag football earlier. They can come from growing up in a certain area or a networking group or something like that. But all those opportunities to really understand, I think, the human aspect of business, which I think we sometimes forget about, and how relationships play such a big part in that.
Yeah. And I think with COVID, right? that we'll jump to that. So we were kind of limited in what we could do, and I strived from my face-to-face, my in-persons, whether it be a networking event or just getting in front of my existing clients to see how they're doing. Hey, let's grab lunch. What are you up to? How can I help? And I think with COVID, that limited that. A little bit with just not having that in person. Although it did provide an additional opportunity to grow the business. I look at it from, in banking. I look at it as my business because these are my clients that I'm helping on because they're counting on me, right? And so as I want to expand on my footprint, I think that approach really helps. I think in terms of success. So the challenges were, hey, I couldn't get in front of them, but at the same time, it allowed me to reach I guess a whole another scope of potential clients that didn't get their help or service that they need from their bank when it came down to it, when they needed PPP funding.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was a huge thing that a lot of businesses kind of were like, okay, well, I'm banking here. Let me pick up the phone and call. What was his or her name? What was you didn't have that relationship that was built, and I think that kind of rings true and shows a lot during those times where things don't go according to plan. That you want to be able to kind of have that relationship, that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, when stuff hits the fan, it's. I think, and that's where I take a lot of pride on. It's just being able to be there for my past clients and for new clients. It's being that resource for them during that time of need. And it was such a crazy time for us all, and across all industries. And to be able to be there, I think it goes a long way, and it just shows that, hey, Chhaya is for real. The company I'm with, Capital Bank. We've supported, these past and new clients during this time, and I think it was just something that they'll always remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I think during difficult times, that's where you start to build and strengthen those relationships, especially if they're very well developed. And obviously, one of the relationships we have here, obviously, is being here at Intelligent Office, getting an opportunity to kind of take advantage of getting an opportunity to hear about all the awesome things that you're doing. So, I guess could you tell us a little bit more on how you were able to be able to access the relationship with Intelligent Office to get your foothold in the area, some of the things that you've been able to do here?
So a former colleague of mine had a relationship with Matt Whitaker, and of course now getting to know him, his team, Chanel and Kira and everyone. They've just been really great, and I think it was a temporary solution with Intelligent Office until we kind of formally had our space in this area, was to let's rent out a couple of suites and while we grow and market Capital Bank. And I think for us or at least for me being in Alexandria for the past 5 or 6 years, it made sense to have an office here, to have a presence here, and it's big being able to have an Alexandria address in my signature line, when I'm calling on clients, when I'm emailing prospects, because he's in Alexandria, and not Reston or where we're headquartered in Rockville.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I feel like that's been one of the shifts, from people and even definitely from businesses. It's not just, I'm from Virginia, but I'm from Alexandria, I'm from Reston. I feel like there's been such a strong community that's been built, so it's great to hear that you've been able to kind of have your foothold here, be able to kind of have clients come here, has allowed you that opportunity to kind of build that relationship in Alexandria and the Harkless area.
Yeah, and definitely, and not to limit, the business in these areas, Arlington, Alexandria, but I've clients, throughout DC Metro, and our Capital Bank, we serve the greater Washington DC area. But it's nice when you've spent a certain amount of time in a certain area, and then to be able to, it's just the continuity aspect of it, to kind of be in this area and to really keep your hand on the pulse of what's going on. And I think back to being a part of an organization like the Eisenhower Partnership is really to stay abreast of what's happening, what's who's going to be building what and where, and I think that really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so you moved into Intelligent Office. How long have you been, here?
Really, since I've started with the bank, so since November of 2019.
Okay, awesome. And you've been able to kind of, you feel like having this area has definitely helped you to kind of be able to get that foothold.
Yeah. So, the way we've kind of benefited from Intelligent Office is to, have that physical presence, to have that address. But, whenever there is a need, I think just to have, the staff.
One of the big things that I wanted to, ask you about is just how do you feel like being here in Intelligent Office and getting an opportunity to kind of leverage space has helped to impact you personally, maybe even in the bank as well too?
I think the biggest takeaway on that is the flexibility. During COVID, when we all probably just worked from home, I didn't really visit the office much, but now, with just being more comfortable, I think having the flexibility of either working from one of our corporate offices, just based on geography, if I was meeting a client, but having the flexibility to come here, utilize the resources that Intelligent Office provides, I think has been a plus.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I imagine just like everybody else listening to this, like work has been like kind of redefined. It seems like during this time of what it means and what it looks like. But I love because I imagine that it's probably a little bit more expensive and financially more of a commitment sometimes to get a space, in Alexandria, to get that foothold, to get those relationships and have that. So it sounds like you've been able to kind of bridge that gap for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for whenever you're looking for space, there's a lot of fixed costs involved, because you got to build it out right, and and especially with right now with the limited amount of staff that's needed. I'm sure there's quite a few folks from the bank that would benefit from a space here in Alexandria or Arlington where we can work out of, but we've just kind of adapted. But I think with the office here in Alexandria and being able to reach out, coming here and then quickly going to an appointment, so the location is great, and just having a meeting room that's accessible as well has been super beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what we kind of talked about, before we hit the record button about the industry as a whole, because, I feel like the name of the year or the name of the game, name of the month is definitely, disruption. And a lot of times when things are disrupted, they kind of come back in a different way. So I wanted to hear a little bit more, while we're recording as well too, about like what you talked about with the banking industry and how that has kind of evolved, and how like Intelligent Office played a good part in that, and being able to kind of get your foothold without having to, make the maybe 10 or 20 years sometimes least you have to have a place here.
Yeah, so on the banking side, a lot of it is really, there's a lot of, merger and acquisition, right? As for community banks, typically, as you grow, you become appealing to a bigger bank because they want to be able to capitalize on that market share, per se. So, so what's the answer to that? Acquire, right? And so, that's a form of disruption that we see, but the technological and the fintechs that are coming here, the Squares, the Chimes, a lot of these online based banks that are really not requiring some of the things that traditional banks do in order to capitalize on some of that market share. I think we're seeing a lot of that, and so banks like us are having to invest in the technology to be able to continually serve the needs of our clients, to make to streamline banking processes, to make it easier for clients to access their money, to pay their bills, and that kind of thing. So it's always a challenge. I think the relational aspect of it is great, in terms of what community banks provide. Accessibility, I'm always accessible to my clients. You're not having to, they get direct access to my line, my cell phone. You're not having to call a 1-800, and I think that's still a big deal for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I think that's a huge deal, and as case in point, like we talked about, the PPP, and trying to be able to get a hold of somebody, not sure of like what and how your business was going to be at that time, and to be able to at least have a conversation with somebody, which I know many people that might be listening to this haven't had that opportunity to do that. It's been huge, so I think that's a huge touch and a huge benefit for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Awesome. And so, was there anything else that, I guess, in addition that you benefited from intelligent office standpoint, or any other standpoint in being here in the Alexandria area?
Not pertaining to me per se, but sometimes I hear in the conversations when I'm out, grabbing a cup of coffee here, but I feel like the staff, does a good job of being aware of the different businesses that utilize Intelligent Office. So the bank isn't utilizing this, but I've actually tried to market this for Chanel on some of my clients, because they don't have, some of my clients that are growing, they don't have like staff, like admin staff per se, and they're the president of the companies are fielding their own calls, and they could save a lot of time if they had a dedicated administrative professional or providers to kind of field a lot of the calls and take messages and whatnot. And I feel like the team here does a great job of that, so you can again focus on the high level conversations that you're needing to have with your clients, and kind of just letting Intelligent Office kind of to handle that, with mailing and package servicing, taking phone calls. And